Irregardless of our orientation or gender, we all have the potential to fall in love with someone and devote our entire lives to a particular romantic connection or relationship. And this ability exists at any age and regardless of our gender or orientation, as well as our personal belief. Though our relationship has been pushed through its paces on a number of times, yet in spite of this, we have decided to stay because we are unable to let go of the memories associated with those events. However, it is unclear what or who is driving events in this direction, as well as how they got to be in this position in the first place. The reason for this is partly due to the fact that, although people are essential for our survival as individuals, the expense of caring for them and loving them may be prohibitively expensive at times, which is why we have chosen this choice above others in this case. It is quite probable that a toxic relationship will result in a variety of negative outcomes, particularly if the relationship seems endless. Nature, particularly when it comes to romantic love and relationship, has something about the sensation of being in love that is intrinsically habit-forming. When it comes to romantic love, this is especially true. A very real and reasonable option for many individuals is to fall in love with someone else, which is also very genuine and understandable. However, despite the fact that all relationships may be linked to habits, the power of these habits can be harmful in some situations. While it may seem to be a simple decision to end a relationship that has become loveless, contentious, unconscionable, or even possibly hazardous at the time of the shift in dynamics, this is not always the case. The opposite is true in some instances, but not in all cases. A recent research, however, shown that this is not always the case in practice. In addition, it is true that these are often the kind of relationships from which it is most difficult to walk away in the great majority of situations. Despite the fact that terrible relationships are more common in situations in which one or both spouses are experiencing difficulties as a result of their normal relationship ups and downs, terrible relationships are not only limited to these situations. What am I trying to say? I'm referring to the fact that these relationships continuously take away your joy and follows you about with the unmistakable scream that this is not how things are intended to function in the first place. But how do you know when it's okay to relinquish these kind of terrible relationships and let go? If the signs and symptoms are obvious, it is possible that everyone will be able to identify them right away. In addition to physical and emotional abuse, other signs of a dysfunctional relationship include constant criticism, lying, and infidelity, to name a few examples. Despite the fact that the situation seems to be in order, there are times when something just does not seem to be quite right about the relationship. At one point in time, this may have been the case, but maybe it was a very long time ago. The truth is that loving your partner is difficult when you're feeling lonely and you have a subtle but persistent sensation of bereavement. You also have a sense of estrangement from your spouse when you don't feel secure, connected, or intimate with them. It is unavoidable that one or both of the persons engaged in the relationship have significant needs that are not being adequately addressed in the current situation. And on top of that, even while the connection is there, it serves no purpose other than to ensure that the link is maintained, which may not be adequate in certain cases. Neither its potential to expand nor its ability to offer a caring environment in which others may flourish in the characteristics that it has. Similarly to habit, it is not maintained by feelings of love and connection, but rather by the repetition of the same acts over and over again until the person becomes addicted. It is conceivable that unforeseen circumstances may make it difficult to leave the relationship at some point in the near future. And at some point, you may find yourself in a position where you are the one obstructing things. However, even when you are fully aware that what you are doing is wrong, you choose to continue regardless of your awareness. And despite your strong desires to leave, you opt to stay in the relationship. Why? In spite of the fact that you are conscious that this relationship will not continue to provide some of your most fundamental needs, such as intimacy and connection, you choose to stay in the relationship despite this understanding. Despite your prior attempts to stop your relationship, The agony of being alone pushes you to return to it time and time again despite your best efforts to break up with them. This clearly shows that leaving a relationship is never a simple or straightforward decision, no matter how bad the situation seems to be at the moment of the decision. It is quite rare for a relationship that is no longer functioning effectively to become easier to depart than a relationship that is doing well in the long run. Furthermore, the operation is no less traumatic than the one before it, and if one has a positive attitude toward the connection, one will be able to make the transition from feeling weak to feeling strong as smooth as is practically feasible under the circumstances. The choice to remain in an abusive relationship takes the same level of thought and effort as the decision to attempt to leave the relationship in the first place. It also requires the same level of fearlessness. Staying in an abusive relationship needs the same level of thought and effort as trying to break out in the first place, as well as a comparable degree of courage. Consider altering your point of view, getting more information and experience, revising your goals, and generating new ones as possibilities if you want to move ahead rather than backward. The capacity to concentrate your energy on living and redirect your attention away from the boiling futility of it all will help you to progress rather than regress on your journey as a result of this discovery. Also, your recorded thoughts and feelings regarding the relationship, both good and negative, should be kept in a secure location until you no longer want to be a part of it. Please contact us if you have any questions. If writing isn't your thing, consider snapping a picture of yourself at the same time every day to show your development. It may be good to use images and writing to assist you in your efforts to recollect the intimate day-to-day parts of your relationship. If you give yourself a deadline, say a few weeks or months, you may go back and complete what you began with your photographs or written words after the time has gone. You may believe that you are a trustworthy source of ideas and actions in many aspects of your life, and you may be accurate in your judgments of the situation. What contrasts do you see between things that make you unhappy and those that make you happy? A firm grip on the presence of life, which exists both within and outside of you at all times, is required for success in all aspects of one's everyday life. What kind of person do you want to become as you grow? What do you want to achieve with your life? Do you have a specific life goal in mind? Is this how you want to remain? Using the tactics taught here, you will undoubtedly be able to perceive your relationship for what it is, rather than through the filter of time and the softening that occurs from time as you may have done in the past. Even when everything is said and done, being in a miserable relationship for a lengthy amount of time is not in your best interests. Whatever the circumstances, in my personal judgment, this is the only piece of information you should be aware of. Your relationship may have reached a point where there is nothing left to fight for, and you will be forced to confront the truth in the same way that a hunted creature must confront the truth in order to survive. It doesn't matter what you've done to attempt to keep your relationship together. Everything may ultimately come apart. Every relationship, even the most secure, will face hardships and adversity at some time. Yet, the strongest and most enduring relationships will emerge from the experience stronger and more resilient than they were before. They get stronger and more resilient with each passing year, which helps to bring them closer together as time passes. Because of the restricted amount of resources accessible to provide and receive in a relationship, the number of resources available to supply and receive in a relationship at any one time is confined. Each person involved in a relationship may contribute their emotions as well as their physical and financial resources to the relationship's success, enabling the task to be accomplished effectively. No matter how unlikely it is that a relationship would end, a storm of emotions may erupt. So make certain that you completely investigate all of your choices before deciding whether or not to continue with the relationship. To have a positive impact on our own lives and the lives of those around us, it is important to remember that it is not always necessary to do the most daring, difficult, or life-altering things. Rather, in many situations, it is frequently necessary to refrain from doing things that have the greatest impact on our lives and the lives of those around us.